Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Greater Manchester Stories. This episode's amazing guest is a gentleman. I think we started talking before Christmas. I saw a story online about a baker who was nearly 100 years old in a place in a town called Castleton in Rochdale, who had just gone out of business, and we'll get into that in a minute. Dave isn't a baker. Dave's a business a few doors away from the baker, and we started chatting. So first of all, welcome Dave Jones, to the show.
Thanks very much. I'm most certainly not a baker. My partner will testify for that. You never find me in the kitchen. I'm not very good at being a baker. Yeah, as you've said, I mean, Smith's the Bakers is just one example of a business down that area that has been hit. I mean, first of all, it's important to say I'm no politician. I'm just a simple resident. Um, and I've kind of followed this route and have ended up out of anger, if you like, the standing as an independent. But yeah, it's there's a lot of things that get me go. I can talk about the local elected. One of which is what's got most people angry is them riding roughshod with this cycle lane because they conduct these.
The cycle lane has been on national. I've spoke about this on national TV a couple of times now. So let's have a look at this cycle lane. So where is it? What it's a, what's that about, and what's been the negative consequences of this cycle lane?
Well, negative consequences. First of all, now it's done. It's created all kinds of conflicts. So I'll give you an example of conflicts. First of all, there's no parking signs outside. There's a couple of loading bays which are over the cycle lane, but you're not allowed to park in them until after 8 p.m., which is no good for the businesses. But you still get people parking in them and unloading, and then that creates conflict for the cyclists who come down and they're kicking off with the cars that are parked in the lane. And then the drivers that do actually don't, take the time to go and park around the corner on the side streets. That's annoying the people around the side streets who are losing the parking. And then you get the cyclists who ride on the road, and then you get drivers pumping at them because the lanes are thin rather than using the lane itself. And it's just created this whole atmosphere of anger. But some of the things that we had a community forum meeting, which used to be regular. It's been cancelled now, isn't that a coincidence? But it used to be regular, and there was more and more people turning up really angry about the cycle lane, to the point where we got where the big room, the local community centre, you couldn't get everyone in at one point, and everyone was literally seething with anger. And some of the points they've quite rightly brought out is some of the homeowners, property prices dropped. The disabled, the elderly can't unload the shopping like they used to. They've lost the car parking space where they could park outside the homes. The likes of DPD, Royal Mail, they can no longer park legally to drop stuff off. And so they're kind of expected to go and park around the side street and then walk the parcels. And I don't know any delivery driver that's going to do that. Bus stops themselves, if a bus stops, again, the road's been narrowed so thin, it's just about the legal width in parts. So two lorries miss each other by inches as they pass. When a bus stops, everything stops. They've introduced new traffic calming measures, they call them, new traffic lights. So where in peak time, where we used to have it quite busy, these new traffic lights now create standing traffic where it backs up. Where there used to be a junction at the end of Pilkington Street, I'll use an example. There used to be you can turn left, you can turn right as a one-way street. If someone's turning right, you can turn left. They narrowed that down to a single lane, so then the traffic's queuing up there to get out as well. And it's just created an awful situation. And then, of course, you've got the businesses. You mentioned Smith's on the opening introduction. I mean, Smith's had been there, a long, long time.
I think it was 96 years. I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're a great business, family-run business. Everyone in the area knows them. People from outside the area, they're passing through, they always stop there. And this is part of the problem why they lost their business because, they would park, run in, get the food, and go out. Workmen in the area, all the factories, all the industrial places we've got around the area. People just pop over and get something and then go back to work. But now, you can't park there, you go straight onto Tesco's instead. So that's how he's, part of the reason why he's lost his business. And oddly enough, in the meetings, we had the local councillor, and we had a few business owners there, obviously all pretty angry, and he was insisting that the cycle lane was not why these businesses have lost up to a big chunk of the takings or losing the livelihoods or they've indeed closed. He was dictating to them why they've closed, and it wasn't the cycle lane. So he knows their business better than them.
That's just a politician trying to avoid the blame and the responsibility for a poor decision. Let me ask you a couple of questions for quick answers, just so people can get up to date on this. So we're talking about a high street in Castleton, is that correct?
Yeah.
And before the cycle lane, those shops attracted passing trade where people could pull up in the car, pop out, use those shops, get back in the car and drive off. But that facility is now gone.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a little bit run down, but it was getting people moving into the areas and renovating them and starting to do them up a little bit. And again, you can't even have a skip outside them now. Most of them don't. You can't put a skip behind them. So those buildings now, how are they going to get renovated? But yeah, it was a high street, small high street, probably reflects lots of places. And it's made a thorough straight for Rochdale now. No one stops there. Um, the only business that seems to attract is takeaways and hairdressers. I think we've got about 10 or 11 hairdressers on a small half-a-mile stretch, and probably similar number of takeaways. But there's not a great deal there in terms of diversity, in terms of different types of business, and I can't see how it's going to attract other businesses in the future. But every year election, again, my reason for getting involved was I got sick of the half truths and misleading people. At election time, probably for the past 10 years, we've been offered, the possibility of the East Lancs Railway is coming. Vote for us and we're going to fight for it. We're going to get the East Lancs Railway to Castleton. That's been 10, 14 years going on. That never happens. I think the last election or the time before that, we had architect drawings coming out of big apartments next to the canal. As soon as the elections are out of the way, miraculously that's turned into a storage yard now, and there's no such thing as these new apartments that are coming our way. And it's just broken promises, lies, and even when I've been to these community forum meetings and I've asked them questions on like the developers breaking the 106A agreements and things like that, and they come back to me, we can't do anything legally. It's not law. I said, well, what is it then? Oh, it's contract. I said, well, contract's law. And at that point, I get shut down by the chair, who seems to be a bit of a Labour supporter as it happens. You have to move on. You have to move on. And another example of them being shut down and them probably, doing the best to badmouth me at the moment because they're coming on the Facebook groups, teams of them talking about how wonderful the cycle lane is. And we've even got the MP, who's the candidate for MP, liking the comments. We even had a councillor from another borough coming on making positive comments. And it's like they must think people are absolutely stupid. And these are the things that get people angry. And again, it's been going on for a long time. And I'm no politician. I'm a resident in the area. And, I just want to bring honesty. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm no interest in the money. I know some councillors see it as like a bit of a making a living out of it. They think the guarantee, because we get such a low turnout, as you know, this is what keeps them empowered. Yeah.
Well, let's get into this a little bit now. So you're standing as an independent for a council seat where you live in Castleton. Why have you picked independent?
Well, I bet most people watching, listening could easily predict my answer here. The Conservatives out of touch, Labour out of touch. They're both completely clueless. And there's so many things wrong with both parties, and it's lacking in honesty, integrity, straightforward answers. You get groups of them towing a party line and being told, repeating stuff they don't even understand from up above. And where is it coming from? I mean, as an independent, I don't have to answer to anyone. I can be honest. I can say what I want. When it comes down to big projects like the cycle lane and things like that, regardless of what I think, I can listen to what most people say. And if the majority wants something, that's what you do. You represent the people. You don't represent your party and put your party first. And this is the kind of thing that's wound me up over the years. It's made me think, do you know what? I'm going to stand as an independent.
And that's the problem with party politics. You're completely right. If you stood for one of the parties, it'd be easier for you. They'd help you, they'd finance some of it, you'd have people doing your paperwork, they'd be canvassing and volunteering for you. But you then have to do as you're told. You've got to follow the party whip. You've got to agree with policies you don't agree with. And if you don't, they say to you, you're not being selected next time at the election. So you basically get blackmailed into doing the things they want you to do. Independent is the way to go, especially in local elections, because you get the person hopefully you can trust, that you see lives in your area, because most councillors don't even live in their areas. It's disgraceful. So you've gone the right road going independent. Now, apart from the cycle lane, what are the other issues? What are the main issues you're going to be fighting this election on?
Crime. I mean, to be fair, crime recently has dropped a little bit, but I know another reason was we used to get sneak thieves and all kinds of crime going on, antisocial behaviour, and you wouldn't see the police at all. You know, and the police, they can go on social media and quite simply say, we're at the police surgery at this time, this place, and let people know. But they wouldn't. What they'd do, they might, if you're very lucky, they might put an A4 leaflet in the community centre. Not everyone goes to the community centre, not everyone passes it, everyone checks it out. And then you'll often find, the police will be sat there with nothing to do apart from drink tea and no one's turned up. Or somebody might have turned up who's, connected to the community centre. And I think the last community forum, the police were saying, "Oh, the figures are looking great for Castleton. Everything's down. There's no major crime." And I put my hand up, and this is how the Labour lot have probably been slating me behind my back because I've been giving a bit of an hard time. I put my hand up. This sergeant who turned up with 4 police officers. I had no idea who I was, so I thought, put my hand up to ask a question. And the first thing she went, "Oh, here we go." And how did she know who I was? Anyway, I was a bit sarcastic back up, so I said, "Oh, now I can be sarcastic too. It's nice to see 4 of you have turned up today, and we never see any of you any other time." So I was a little bit sarcastic back, but
You should have put a complaint in. That's very unprofessional for an officer.
well,
Who's there at a public meeting to listen to the public and the residents of that area to be sarcastic. I wouldn't have accepted that.
Well, there's a bigger point there. The thing is, it's like they're like a pack of wolves, these Labour lot. I mean, for the police to know who I was before I'd even spoke and then say that to me, they obviously knew I wasn't just a resident who wasn't standing or anything like that. And the fact they immediately kind of chose a side. "Oh, here we go." I mean, I'm a big boy, do you know what I mean? I could be sarcastic back. I have no issues with them, wanting to give me stick like that. I can give as good as I get.
But all this now is the political side of it. Forget this political side of it. What are the issues you're going to be addressing in your ward if you win? The real issues that people matter, that people care about.
Well, crime is a big one. There's literally no investment in the area. We've also got all the usual fly tipping. The roads are a mess. And again, like I said, I'm not a politician. I don't know till I get my feet under the table what I can and can't do. And I'll be honest about that. And I think they've been going around saying as an independent, I can't do much on my own. Well, first of all, I can expose you, and secondly, the dominoes start to fall, and other independents get in, and we can make a change and do things because there is, you see,
that will be your superpower as an independent, because that's going to be my superpower if I become mayor as an independent. It's your voice. It's you highlighting what's going wrong. It's you having access to that information that you couldn't get before. The right as in you can't create projects, you can't change council policy by yourself, but you can expose it all. You can tell the people absolutely everything that's going on.
Yeah, there's talking about things that matter to people and the difference they can make. There's lots of green belt areas around here, and so there is the brownfield sites which are built on, which is fine. Everyone needs somewhere to live, but when they keep cramming in all these houses and there's no infrastructure going in, and developers are cashing in, and the councillors, they throw out consultations, and it's either a consultation where your voice matters or residents' voices matter, or it's information and this is what we're going to do. Which one is it? Because the consultations go against everyone every time. So one of the things I want to bring about as well is I want to stand for the majority. There's an estate at the back of me there. I mean, I have no personal views on whether it gets built or not, but I know the majority of residents don't want it. So if I get elected, I will represent them, their voice, and I will stick up for them. I won't, again, go and do as I've told, and I won't bend over for the developers or whatever, however they get things through. And again, I keep asking lots of the elected councillors, why do they never challenge this eat, sleep, repeat of developers getting away with things? And you never seem to get a straight answer. Again, it might be, as you say, they've got to toe the party line and so on. But this is where
They're told what to say, so they haven't got an opinion on it. But going back to consultations, I worked for Manchester Council for a decade. I was involved in many consultations. And this is what a consultation is. A consultation by a council is, we know what we're doing, we've drawn up the plans, we're ready to go, but legally, we have to now tick a box that says a public consultation was held. So we hold a public consultation. We don't care what you say. We've ticked a box. We're going ahead anyway. That is every council public consultation in the country, because I was involved in dozens of them.
So they have zero credibility then. I mean, the thing.
It's illegal. It's illegal ticking a box. That's all it is. The council have to say we consulted with the people. They don't have to listen to the people. They don't have to take it on board. They just have to tick a box saying a legal consultation was held.
This is a bit of a catch-22 situation, though, because a lot of people have cottoned on now that consultations mean nothing. As a result, they don't bother replying to them. And the only people who do bother replying to them are the people who are friends and family, or the
Interest
faithful,
groups.
blindful faithful of the, of the parties that are in charge. So even though you still get false results, a lot of the time it is against what they're trying to do, and the residents get ignored. So tick box, no tick box illegal. It's like, it's who's up there who is choosing. All right, if they don't have to do what the public say, but they should. In certain circumstances, they get like some things, need doing. If they're building something on a brownfield site and you get objections and it's, people need homes and things. But when it comes to greenbelt, or, traffic coming down the streets and where previously there wasn't, and you're suddenly cramming more and more cars in, this is what gets me. It's hypocrisy, if you like, where they talk about the pedal line of, oh, you've got to cycle, we've got to think of the future generation, which forgets there'll always be older people who won't cycle. And we've got to think about the environment. And the same people are also giving away the green belt. So it's hypocritical to say, oh, we've got to save the environment. Oh, there's a greenfield gone.
Exactly. Again, if you're going to use your special power, if you become elected, this is how you should work it. You should find out, so let's say you talk about the green belt. Who is the councillor with responsibility for the environment at that council? And then you ask them in the chambers, do you agree that we should be building on these fields, and get them on record to say yes or no? And if they say yes, you then go back to the people in his ward or her ward, and you say to those people, your councillor is the reason why we're building on the green belt, and you can vote that councillor out at the next elections, because your councillor is ruining our countryside. And it takes somebody inside with that information to start putting other councillors on notice that you will lose your seat, because I'll make sure the people know it was you. I'll name and shame you, Joe Bloggs, Margaret, whatever. I'll name you, and people will know it's you, and they won't vote for you, because every politician just wants to be a politician at the next election. And if you can start challenging them on that and making them think they'll lose their seat, they will start making different decisions.
Well, they're in it for the wrong reasons, aren't they? If they're just thinking about the job and being elected, because
most politicians are in it for the wrong reasons. Most politicians are in it to be politicians, for the money, for the status, for the reputation. That's about 90% of politicians.
Again, I'll have my L plates on if I'm lucky enough to get elected. I mean, this is a Labour stronghold area. We'll see what happens. I mean, again, apathy plays a big part in no one turning out. So they get elected by a majority of a minority that turn out. And it's a blind faithful again that turn out for them. But yeah, until I get my feet under the table, until I get to learn all the details and what is what and what is. I mean, until you said there about the consultation, I didn't know that. It's legal tick box. So I know that, and you've made a very good point there of getting, it is a yes or no answer. Do you believe you should build on that land? Yes or no. It's not, oh, they can't, yes or maybe, and it's a yes or no answer. And this is how we start to get some honesty back into, local politics and even national politics. So out of touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Honesty is definitely what we're missing as a nation in our politics, and it's putting people off, and because of that, it's ruining the country. Now, my final advice to you running for council is, because wards are small, it's very beneficial and easy for you to go door knocking. Speak to people, knock on their doors, tell them who you are, why you're standing. They'll see your face, they'll remember your name. You can't do that when you're running for an MP, when you're running for mayor. The areas are too big. But as a ward councillor, you can do that. Go to the community centres, go to the old folks centre, get yourself out there, speak to people, shake their hands, look them in the eye and tell them what you're going to do. You can win an election quite easily with no money just by doing that. because people are sick of all politicians. We're sick of all of them. And if you can tap into the people who don't turn up and vote, then you've got a very good chance of winning.
That's the problem, is that no one turns out, and all we can do is give it a go. A lot of people don't even know that. I'm just that the mayoral elections are coming up. As I just said before I came on, yeah. I said I'm going on a podcast, and I told him I was going to speak to you. I says, "Oh, I didn't think there was a mayoral election." So sometimes people are so disconnected, they just don't bother. They don't bother turning out, or if it turns out on the day, or they're doing something, or they don't bother because they're all the same, is what you hear all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And they're the barriers we've got to overcome. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's nothing we can do about that. All we can do is our little bit in our little area to increase voter turnout, to increase trust in politicians. And we do that by me and you and other people being true to our word, by telling the truth. And if we get into power, doing what we said we were going to do. And that's the start of rebuilding a decent set of politicians and a political infrastructure in this country.
Yeah, that actually listens for a change and takes on board what people think, especially locally. But yeah, we'll stay on May the 2nd.
We will do. Before we go, what's the name of your ward so people know?
Castleton.
So the ward itself is called
Yeah,
Castleton, right?
it's Castleton Ward, yeah, Rochdale.
Right, excellent.
I think there's probably 8,000 people that live here in total. It's
Yeah,
quite a big ward considering, a
yeah,
lot of wards are smaller than that. But yeah, we'll just have to see if people actually turn out and vote. Hopefully they will. And of course, hopefully they'll turn out for
yeah,
yourself and vote.
yeah.
All
Hopefully.
my family's voting for you,
Right,
and
thank you.
and fingers crossed you get in and make the difference of giving some honesty back, integrity back to politics.
Well, I'm gonna try my best. That's all I can promise is I will try my best. Things will change in Greater Manchester if I win. I'm not perfect. I'm not a miracle worker. I can't fix all problems, but I will fix the foundations. And that's what we
Yeah,
need to fix in our country, the foundations. No point building any more amazing projects when everything underneath is crumbling away. We need to
yeah,
sort out our foundations, and that's what I'm going to do. But for people who live in Castleton, here's your man to vote for. Um, and it needs you to get out and vote. And even if you don't like Dave and what he stands for, you still should go out and vote for somebody else. It's important you get off your backside. It's important that you vote. Everybody needs to get out and vote.
that's very true. That I would if I lost an election, and I would be happy to lose if there was a big turnout. I think, well, that's what people wanted, but when very few people turn out, it just feels so unjust.
It is. It
Um,
is.
yeah,
But always remember, in a democracy, people get the government they deserve.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's always down to the people. I'm tired of people always blaming politicians and always blaming something else, the WEF. We get the governments we deserve. If we want better, we need to start voting for better. But that's a conversation for another day. Dave, thank you very much for coming on the show. Good luck in Castleton. And I mean, you are obviously going to keep in contact anyway, but good luck.
Okay, thanks very much, Nick. Thank you.
If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.